Hey guys, welcome to TPH Live. It's your daily sanity break where we do a 5-minute meditation, which is suitable for absolute beginners or seasoned pros. And the goal here is to give you some tools for dealing with the current tumult and also to create a little bit of community. And so every day we bring on a great meditation teacher. And today it's Rhonda Magee. Who's been on the 10% Happier podcast a couple times. She is a professor of law at the University of San Francisco School of Law. She's written books, most recently The Inner Work of Racial Justice, which she came on to the 10% Happier podcast to talk about. Rhonda, great to see you again. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for coming on. It's lovely to be with you.
Yes, yes. How do you think meditation can help in the middle of this mess, this dumpster fire?
Oh my goodness. Well, I think I can just speak from my own experience, really. It's helping me with a lot of some of the challenges that come with having to adapt to these times. And when I say challenges, I mean like the emotional, the kind of psychological, like stories that I might tell myself or the feelings that come up when all of a sudden, for me, it was a whole long calendar of events all the way stretching into fall on a plan and a sense of control. And like I published a book last year. I can talk about it through the year in these great ways. And to one by one see all of that, just like, so many, grains of sand just wash away. That took some, adjusting to, and it, it was more than just changing my calendar. Obviously, it was kind of psychological and like feeling the sense of groundlessness in a very concrete kind of particular way. And I think that's true for all of us. Each of us have gone through our own version of what has this meant in terms of me feeling my way into, this pause and all it's requiring. And so I think mindfulness for me has helped me with, the emotion, the fear, the kind of terror that came up sometimes when I would be just not only thinking about the adjustments that I would need to make, but, realizing that will have, various implications for my work. I'm fortunate and privileged to be on faculty at a university, but circumstances are changing all the time. And so I feel that this time has own practices for dealing with radical impermanence, right? Mm-hmm. Things are changing. We know that that's always been the case, but I feel there's no way we can avoid reckoning and dealing with that. And mindfulness has helped me really through practices, like the one I'll share in a moment, find a way of coming back to a sense of groundedness amidst the groundlessness, right? To kind of hold awareness that things could change again. But as things change, I'm here. I've got some capacities. I've got some resources that'll help me through. So it's helped me with that, the lessons around radical impermanence and both the beauty and the challenge of radical interdependence. Because I think that's another big message of this time. We knew, this beautiful global technological set of platforms has helped us to see more and more the reality that we are one world, one beautiful planet floating right now in the heavens, so to speak. But I think that lesson, which had been a little bit abstract, became obviously much more present for all of us, right, as we have been living with this virus. So, but the thing is, in mindfulness speak, we often talk about how interdependence and interconnectedness gives us a sense of compassion and makes us feel like, we're part of this one world. But a lot of research and our own experience, if we look closely into it, shows how much the sense of interdependence can also trigger fear, can also trigger extremely difficult emotions. The sense that we need to defend against the threats that might be posed, like this one, right? And the hoarding impulse was just one example, but many are available if we care to take a look. So how to deal then with interdependence in a positive way, how to access the sense of possibility that can come from an increasing consciousness around ourselves as being part of one human family, sharing one big neighborhood, this planet. So those are, I think mindfulness meditation for me have been an avenue, not just the meditation, but the teachings around it and the community around it for me.
Well said. So I think it's that time. Let's do some meditation. How do you feel about that?
Let's do some meditation.
All right. I'm going to mute myself because my cat is still. Usually there's a cat named Steve who howls at this time, but today it's our other cat, Ruby, running around with a sock in her mouth and screaming. So I'm going to mute.
Great. Great. So as you have just done, Dan, I'm inviting everyone who's here and present to just find a comfortable, supportive position that works for you in this moment. And as you do so, just sense into the dignity, the inherent dignity of your body, your being in this moment. Sensing into what is well within you. There may be something not so well. But if you can, as best you can, feel the quality of liveliness that brought you here. And breathe into that. So with this practice, it uses the acronym S.T.O.P to support us in accessing our resources in moments of challenge that might occur at any point in our day. And there are ways to expand this practice, but a simple introductory approach is to invite us to, as we're sitting here, kind of notice any way in which we have experienced difficulty on this day just so far. And it could be any small amount of difficulty or large. Again, there's no right or wrong here. And you might just choose something that we can work with just in this moment, but allowing as much as you can the sense that we can access some of the difficulty of our experience as appropriate for this practice for the next few minutes. And the invitation is to really stop. S.T.O.P is the acronym we'll work with. The S is just to stop and to notice. The difficulty might be just a sense of, painful reflection on the way what you are or others around you are actually feeling, the fear, the heightened sense of vulnerability coming up during this time, loss of job, loss of income. You might be feeling safe, but you might be thinking about family members or coworkers or friends who are feeling more vulnerable right now. So that's just one example. But if we can stop, take a conscious breath. And as you breathe in and out, observe. S.T, taking the conscious breath. O, observing. What's here? What are the thoughts that are coming up as we reflect on this moment of difficulty, experience of difficulty? Where are the sensations maybe in the body that we're feeling, where we're feeling this difficulty? And we might just take a moment to kind of allow ourselves to breathe in a way that notices this difficulty in the body and breathes out in a way which is intending to kind of create some spaciousness and to allow some relaxation around the difficulty as we breathe in and out. So we're just observing sensations in the body. It could be tightness in the chest, could be a sense of nausea or just hard to put words to it, but a sense of feeling unsteady somehow. There's no right or wrong here. With the O, we're just opening up to feeling and seeing and sensing and noticing the thoughts associated with what's happening right here for us. And in this moment of observation, we're going to invite a gathering of the sense of our resources in this moment. Breathing in and breathing out, feeling the ground beneath us, sensing into the connections we have with ancestors and others who have survived moments of difficulty like this before, and knowing that we have inherent within us the capacity to overcome them. So gathering those sense of resources, reconnecting with a sense of our intention for the way we want to be with these difficulties, as best we can. Attuning to what is well within us, the strength that we carry, and then holding a question: what could serve? What might I do for myself? First approximation to how we do justice, start with ourselves. What can I do to minimize my sense of suffering in this moment? And then what might I be able to offer to others from here on this day? And then we might just end this piece of the reflection, this moment of observation, with a sense of presence, moving into the P. So we've stopped, taken a conscious breath, observed with grace. Actually, there's an acronym inside that observation where we gather, recall our intention, attune to ourselves and others, consider what might serve, and then begin to end this moment of reflection with a commitment to proceeding forward from here. So breathing in and out, feeling the support that exists for us in this moment. And when and as you're ready, if the eyes have been closed, opening them. Again, moving into the stream of the rest of this day from this place.
Thank you, Rhonda. I appreciate that. This acronym, I imagine, could also be used in a free-range style where we are doing it, on the go.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, it is, again, such a portable kind of practice, this one. For me, there have been moments when I've been rushing. I'm not so much rushing around these days, right? But moments where I've noticed myself getting ahead of myself. I don't know if we can do, and we can do that even when we're sheltering. We're getting ahead of ourselves, right? We're thinking, planning, we're trying to do too many things. We're on too many Zoom calls. So the invitation might be to just, even in a moment, stop, take a conscious breath. Notice you get that feeling. What does it feel like for you to get ahead of yourself? Whether it be, again, by physically moving faster than you need to, trying to do too much at once, multitasking when the moment calls for pausing. So stop, take a conscious breath, and just observe what you're doing, and then proceed from this place of presence. I expanded it to add the grace in there, in the observation, the grace practice. So stop with grace, gather, recall intention, etc. But we don't have to do that. We can just stop, observe, and then choose to move in a direction of alignment with our values and with our intention for how to engage these difficult moments more skillfully.
It's amazing to me how much rushing I see in myself, even when physically, at least, there is nowhere to go.
Yes, me too. I've gotten a little better at that, but it's hard. Yeah, because we've been training ourselves in that, I think.
Training ourselves to rush.
Exactly. And the thing about mindfulness and what we're learning from the neuroscientists about our bodies and being is that, whatever we do is a training. Right. So if we've been rushing around to kind of get where we are, and our success culture is really addicted, I think, to a certain kind of, if you've done that, you can do more. Oh, if you've succeeded in that, well, you can succeed in, add 10 more things. And I say that knowing that I've been, I've done that myself. And again, it's all about kind of trying to titrate or come to right relationship. Because some sort of that kind of stress of trying to achieve things is beautiful, but we can overdo it. And we can be overdoing it right here, right now, even in this time of pause, right? Everybody's talking about what are the 5 or 10 things you're going to come out of this pause being able to do? What's your new hustle, your new whatever? What new skills? And again, that can be a part of it. So the invitation for me has been to just slow down and allow myself to be present more to, the deeper teachings of this time.
So to be clear, you're not saying, I see that the tension of, I think people are like, I need to learn how to homebrew kombucha, and I need to make sure that my side hustle becomes a venture-backed company and blah, blah, blah. Right. But you're not saying that instinct is off. You're just saying, let's not overdo it.
Absolutely. Yes, that's exactly right. You know, I think for me, mindfulness is a kind of constant invitation to be a little bit more awake. To, again, what I use the phrase, right relationship with what's arising, what's coming up. And so, yeah, there's some wisdom, I think, in figuring out more, different ways, the resources that we have, different ways we can support ourselves and our loved ones. And so there's something beautiful about being pulled in the direction of, what can I create? What can I do? But just notice, that's why the stop practice can help. Right in that moment of like, I can create this. Oh, no, also I can do that. And also, why don't I also bake some new soda bread? And why don't I also just notice, right? When, what's going on there? Might we be trying to fend off the sense of loss of control or what some difficult emotional reality that wants to be known, felt, processed, integrated, dealt, more skillfully perceived? Might we be somehow getting in our habits and patterns and conditions of just being in that rat race, so to speak? And if we can notice that a little bit, we can then, ease off, adding the next 5 things to the list so that we have more presence with the top 2 or 3. And then from there, complete those things or move into those things from a deeper sense of, that kind of sustainability that I think is one of the deeper calls. I don't have all the answers, and I don't think any of us will to have all the answers. This practice isn't about that. But it is about, with humility, recognizing we're just soft-bellied beings, each one of us, wherever we are, with some opportunities and some limitations. And we're being called, I think, right now to really try to wake up to the ways we've been conditioned to overdo.
Yeah, I see that conditioning pretty loud and clear. We only have a few minutes, and I'm going to ask a question that may be a little too big, but I'm going to do it anyway. You wrote this book about the inner work of racial justice. We are seeing disproportionate impact on people of color during this time of COVID. Yeah. How do you process that, not only as a person of color, but also somebody who's interested in racial justice and as somebody who's interested in mindfulness?
Yeah. Thank you for raising that. It's been a part of my work ongoingly to help create more capacity within myself and within the networks of influence and concern and connection that I live in. Create more capacity for dealing with confronting difficult realities around race and racism, the legacies of racial oppression that are running through our lives. And so it's not new for me to be turning toward this with mindfulness, as you know. But every time, every new reminder or new manifestation of the reality of what it is that sounds like an abstraction, there's, systemic oppression, structural inequality. What does that look like? That looks like, a vastly disparate impact in terms of the degree of death and, real morbidity and sickness, more severe stroke rates and all of that we're seeing disproportionately meted out across our neighborhoods with a racially disparate impact. We're seeing more Black and Brown and Native Indigenous people suffering some of the worst consequences of coronavirus. And this is not to say that others obviously aren't suffering, but it is to say that this is a piece of this that we might bring more awareness to. And for me, it is about having these kinds of conversations and being willing to sit with the challenge of the question of what do we do to help alleviate it. And again, not to go grasping after necessarily feeling like, oh, I have all the answers right here, right now. I've already had the answers waiting in my back pocket. We have some answers maybe that we could amplify. Research tells us some of the things we can do to help alleviate suffering. We need to take more effective affirmative action, let's say, more effective action to change the circumstances and conditions in our neighborhoods, in our institutions, in our workplaces. So there is more access and more of our largesse to go around, let's say. But this isn't easy. and it's not for the short term. This is why for me the work is my entire book, and all of that is about a lifelong commitment to engaging with how do we redress inequality and systemic injustice in ways that make it more, equitable and fair for all our communities, leaving no one out. And this becomes more and more a global question as well. This moment reminds us of that. So we're in it. I think for me, mindfulness practice is a support for that. And that is why I'm really grateful that you brought this into the conversation, because that is, again, going to be hard. But, there's also joy in figuring out how we can do it with a loving heart and with the sense that we can get through the difficulty and bond more closely together as one human family as we go through this with mindfulness.
Rhonda, thank you so much for speaking so eloquently and for taking the questions and taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being you, Dan, and everything you're offering here. I appreciate it.
Thank you. We'll be back tomorrow with another great meditation teacher. And in the meantime, please stay home and stay safe. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.